I'm Sabrina Zainal, and you're watching Nightline. The top stories. Kedah DOE busts illegal recycling factory suspected of turning plastic into fish feed. And government to launch big data super app for housing development. Good morning. We begin with this story. The Kedah Department of Environment DOE on Wednesday raided an illegal recycling factory suspected of processing used plastic into fish feed pellets in Kuala Muda. Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Nick Ahmad said the activity was discovered during Op Patuh, which was carried out jointly with police and immigration. The operation, which began at 11 a.m., was aimed at cracking down on illegal industries in Kedah. Inspections conducted at the premises revealed that approximately 100 tons of plastic waste had been processed into pellets and packed in plastic bags labeled as freshwater fish food. The minister also said that the discovery will be reported to the Agriculture and Food Security Ministry for further action. Also found at the premises were 20 used plastic packages that had not yet been processed. However, no workers were present during the raid. In the same operation, another recycling factory was also raided, resulting in the seizure of over 1,500 metric tons of electronic waste. Checks showed that the factory was carrying out e-waste recovery without environmental impact assessment, EIA approval, and a license from the DOE.
Di bawah Akta Kualiti Alam Sekeliling 1974 ataupun AKAS, premis telah disiasat di bawah Seksyen 18 kerana menjadi kemudahan pensetoran luar tapak buangan terjadual tanpa mendapat lesen daripada JAS. Seksyen 34A AKAS kerana gagal mengemukakan laporan penilaian kesan kepada alam sekeliling EIA kepada JAS.
Both factories have been seized with the total value of the confiscated items reaching tens of millions of ringgit. Further investigations for prosecution purposes are also underway. The government is developing a super app to assist house buyers in making home purchase decisions and to serve as a reference tool for developers with the aim of reducing property overhang. Housing and Local Government Minister Ngakor Ming said the super app, which utilizes big data analytics, is expected to be launched next year. Speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, Nga stated that the public would be able to see developers' track records and housing project information such as flood risks and pricing through the super app. It will also help developers manage their business more effectively and ensure that housing projects are developed in suitable areas.
That will actually improve the ease of doing business and to help them to make a more accurate decision. Okay, there's a reason why that will also help to reduce the overhang property, because from the big data analysis you will know that which is the area suitable for what product, what house.
Nga noted that the initiative will also help create more effective data-driven housing policies for better planning, as currently there is no single system where all the information on housing development is available under one roof. He added that the engagement sessions were also being held with industry players to gather their input before the super app is introduced. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has urged developers, architects, planners and policymakers to ensure that development projects are infused with culturally vibrant values. He stressed the importance of considering Malaysia's identity and diverse cultural heritage during the planning and construction phases of development projects, in addition to ensuring they are modern, technologically advanced and environmentally friendly.
There's the indigenous culture, there's Malay or Chinese or Indian, which is part and parcel of a community. And if you look beyond to Sabah and Sarawak, you see this fantastic, vibrant cultural mix from the Dayaks to the Kadazans to the Muruts, etc. And it will be shameful if we do not take those features into consideration.
Anwar said this at the launch of the ASEAN-China Ministerial Roundtable on Construction and Housing, ACMROCH, in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday. He also emphasized that development projects must also be inclusive and take into consideration the needs of all segments of society, at the same time responding to current demands of the people. He added that the government also encourages public-private partnerships to jointly develop infrastructure and housing projects, as these partnerships can leverage the strengths and resources of both the government and the private sector to deliver high-quality developments. Now, Global Infrastructure Partners GIP has expressed its willingness to be a minority shareholder in Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad MAHB and to relinquish its shareholding within a short time frame. Second Finance Minister Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan stated that the decision to take over MAHB was aimed at enhancing the competitiveness and efficiency of the country's airports to ensure they do not fall behind their ASEAN counterparts. Amir said the government is firm in safeguarding the interests held in strategic national assets, adding that GIP was selected as a partner in the MAHB privatization deal for meeting the stringent conditions set by the government. He assured that all Malaysian airports will continue to be government assets, with MAHB serving as the operator and manager, while its key management roles will not be taken over by foreigners. He also said that the decision was made as the government had taken into consideration the urgent need to implement reforms at MAHB as soon as possible, especially with MAHB's investment requirements totaling an estimated 10 billion ringgit over a 5-year period, which can be expedited given the consortium members' strong financial positions. Under the consortium, Khazanah Nasional Berhad and the Employees Provident Fund EPF will hold a majority stake of 70% in MAHB, while the remaining interest will be held by Abu Dhabi Investment Authority and GIP. Studies on the proposed lemon law to protect buyers of cars and other goods that fail quality and performance standards are expected to be completed in September this year. According to Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Dato' Armizan Muhammad Ali, the study on the proposed lemon law started in June this year and involved a group of expert consultants.
Kajian ini telah bermula pada bulan Jun 2024 dan disasarkan selesai pada bulan September 2024. Hasil kajian ini akan dijadikan asas pertimbangan untuk membuat keputusan dasar sama ada perlu membuat penambahbaikan terhadap kerangka perundangan sedia ada atau memerlukan kepada pengubalan perundangan baru.
Armizan said this during Minister's question time in Parliament on Wednesday. At the same time, Armizan said present laws to compensate users who purchase faulty goods were under the Consumer Protection Act. According to Armizan, his ministry has identified several laws similar to the lemon law in Malaysia, namely the Consumer Protection Act, the Contract Act 1950, the Sale of Goods Act 1957, and the Hire Purchase Act 1967. In other news, Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak has failed in his bid to obtain leave from the Kuala Lumpur High Court to challenge the existence of an addendum order purportedly issued with the consent of the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong, allowing the former Prime Minister to serve the remaining 6 years of his prison sentence under house arrest. Judge Dato' Amarjit Singh dismissed Najib's leave application to initiate a judicial review after finding all the affidavits filed in support of Najib's application, including the affidavit filed by the UMNO President Dato' Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Vice President Dato' Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail, were hearsays. In his broad judgment, Justice Amarjit said that the averments of Zahid were also pure hearsay. On the 2 affidavits filed by Najib, the judge said both affidavits just contained bare statements without mentioning the source and his belief of the order. Najib, in his leave application for judicial review filed last April, named Home Minister, Commissioner General of Prisons, Attorney General, the Pardons Board for the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan and Putrajaya, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Director General of Legal Affairs Division at the Prime Minister's Department, and the Malaysian government as the first to the 7th respondents. The former Pekan Member of Parliament is seeking a mandamus order to compel either all or one of the respondents to respond and confirm the existence of the additional decree dated January 29, 2024. He is also seeking a mandamus order that, if the additional decree exists, all or one of the respondents must enforce it immediately by transferring him from Kajang prison to his residence in Kuala Lumpur for him to serve the remainder of his prison sentence under house arrest. Senior Federal Counsel Shamsul Bolhassan and Ahmad Hanir Hambali appeared for the respondents, while Najib's counsel Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i Abdullah told the court that they would file an appeal against Wednesday's decision.
Kami juga memikirkan sedalam-dalamnya sama ada kami perlu ataupun kami harus mengambil satu tindakan writ. Tindakan writ ni dia berlainan daripada tindakan judicial review.
The Public Accounts Committee PAC found oversight issues in the management of foreign workers in Malaysia. Most notably, the PAC said there were regulation violations and overlaps concerning the Foreign Workers Centralized Management System, FWCMS, and EPPAX under both the Human Resources Ministry and the Home Ministry. The PAC, in its parliamentary report, released on Wednesday, said the Cabinet in 2015 had approved the development of both systems, both based on the single window concept. This led to overlapping functions between agencies in developing the foreign worker management system and public funds wastage. The PAC also found that the FWCMS contract has yet to be finalized and signed between the government and the vendor, despite the letter of acceptance for the FWCMS system development issued on January 12, 2018, until the date of PAC's last proceedings on March 13, 2024. This means the Home Ministry has been using the FWCMS for roughly 6 years without a finalized contract, which is a clear violation of government regulations. The PAC also discovered weaknesses in the ID control management in the system, with 2 IDs held by non-HR ministry officers and 24 unauthorized users approving 24 employer applications. The PAC said the issue has been reported to the police for investigation. The 6 members of parliament who have ceased to be members of Bersatu expressed confidence that their seats would not be declared vacant. Labuan MP Datuk Suhaili Abdul Rahman maintained that they had not resigned from Bersatu but were sacked by the party, meaning that they had not breached the anti-hopping law. Suhaili, who spoke on behalf of the others, reiterated that they did not leave Bersatu but were stripped of their memberships and had their names removed from the system.
Maka dengan ini jelas membuktikan tidak ada unsur-unsur kami ahli parlimen yang berenam ini meninggalkan parti atau melompat ke parti lain yang mana boleh meletakkan kami di perkara 49A kurungan 3 perlembagaan persekutuan. He
said the 6 individuals felt that they would not need to vacate their seats as the party constitution, which prevented members from switching sides, was only amended on April 1st. This was done after the 6 of them had declared their support for the unity government and the leadership of Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. He added that the 6 had not decided if they would defend their seats, if they had to vacate them, and by-elections had to be called. The 5 others are Guemusang MP Muhammad Azizi Abu Naim, Jili MP Zahari Kecik, Kuala Kangsar MP Datuk Iskandar Zulkarnain Abdul Khalid, Tanjung Karang MP Datuk Dr. Zulkafli Hanapi, and Bukit Gantang MP Datuk Syed Abu Hussein Hafiz Syed Abdul Fazal. Aside from the 6 MPs, also receiving a similar notice was Selat Kelang Assemblyman Datuk Abdul Rashid Asari, who had on March 6th declared support for the leadership of Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Shari. The driver of the tour bus that crashed on Jalan Genting Highlands, which resulted in 2 deaths, has been charged in Raut Magistrates Court. S. Anand Kumar, 32, was charged under the Road Transport Act 1987 with causing death by reckless or dangerous driving and driving without a valid license. Anand pleaded not guilty to both charges after they were read before Magistrate Siti Aisyah Ahmad. Section 41(1), causing death by reckless or dangerous driving, provides for a maximum jail term of 10 years and a fine of no more than 50,000 ringgit, while Section 26(1), driving without a valid license, provides for up to 3 months in prison, a fine not exceeding 3,000 ringgit, or both. Police previously confirmed that Anand did not have a driver's license and had 27 traffic summonses for various offences. The bus, which was carrying 18 Chinese nationals, the bus driver and 2 tour guides, was heading down from Genting Highlands last Saturday when it toppled over and hit the road divider at about 11 a.m. The 2 Chinese nationals who died had suffered head injuries. Tories and Labour go head-to-head as UK election campaign enters final day. News from the Foreign Front when we return.
Jangan disebabkan kerana seorang anggota macam awak ni akan buat nama PDRM rosak.
Bang tu kan anggota polis. Kenalah jaga imej.
Sayang juga awak kat saya kan? Minta unit ronda MPV dan unit rondaan bermotosikal URB untuk buat pemantauan di semua lokasi sebagai frontliner pasukan.
Polis Peronda mulai 28 Jun setiap Jumaat 10 malam di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
We're back with news from the Foreign Front. Britain's Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak on Wednesday kicked off the last day of campaigning before polls open in a national election, each warning voters of dire economic consequences if the other man wins. According to a More in Common MRP survey, the Conservatives are set for multiple Portillo moments at the general election. The polling company predicts the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, the Defence Secretary, Grant Shapps, and the Veterans Minister, Johnny Mercer, to be ousted on Thursday. It also projected that a total of 8 cabinet ministers will lose their seat, while another 7, including Penny Mordaunt and Tory chairman Richard Holden, are in races which are too close to call. Meanwhile, Labour Party's Rachel Reeves is expected to launch an almost $20 billion tax raid on pensions, capital gains, and inheritance this autumn if her party wins a supermajority. Analysts said the shadow chancellor was likely to bow to demands for higher public spending, adding that Labour could extend a stealth raid on workers' pay packets if it wins the election. Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer on Wednesday insisted he was not worried about Boris Johnson's last-minute general election campaign intervention for the Tories. The Labour leader argued that the former Prime Minister's speech at a Tory campaign rally on Tuesday night was actually helpful to the opposition. Johnson, in a surprise appearance at a Conservative Party rally, warned voters of the perils of handing Labour a sledgehammer majority. Previously, Johnson, who had stayed away from the campaign trail so far, blamed Rishi Sunak for helping to bring about his downfall as Prime Minister by resigning as Chancellor in 2022. However, it seemed the former leader has buried the hatchet to put the Conservative Party first. French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal on Wednesday said efforts to prevent Marine Le Pen's national rally RN winning an outright majority in parliament could still succeed. Attal, who is a close ally of President Emmanuel Macron, said he believed that a cross-party bid is necessary to deprive the RN. However, he dismissed the idea of Macron's centrists forming a cross-party government in the event of a hung parliament. Instead, the Prime Minister proposed that moderates work together to pass legislation on a case-by-case basis. When asked about calls for a temporary cross-party government if no group achieves a majority, Attal stated he would not impose a coalition that voters did not choose. The statement comes after more than 200 candidates pulled out of Sunday's legislative election runoff on Tuesday to avoid splitting the anti-far-right vote. Thailand's Constitutional Court on Wednesday has set July 17th as the next hearing date for a case seeking the dissolution of the popular opposition Move Forward Party MFP. The court ordered the party to stop the campaign and did not call for any further punishment. Its president, however, said there would be a verdict in the case this week before September. Meanwhile, the MFP, which complied with the court's ruling, denied any wrongdoing and vowed to contest the Election Commission's case in court. Wednesday's decision follows a separate ruling by the Constitutional Court in January that said MFP's campaign to change the royal insult law was a hidden effort to undermine the monarchy. Now, Chinese Coast Guard officials have seized a Taiwanese fishing vessel and steered it to a port in China for illegally fishing in its territorial waters. According to Taiwan's Coast Guard, the boat was fishing outside Taipei-controlled waters off the Kinmen Islands on Tuesday when it was boarded and seized by 2 Chinese Maritime Administration boats. They added that the vessel was operating during Beijing's no-fishing period and will attempt to communicate with China to urge the release of the fishermen as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Taiwan officials have now issued alerts to fishing and transport authorities around the country to pay attention to the possible risks amid frequent Chinese Coast Guard activities in the region. Brazil set to face Uruguay in quarters. Sports when we come back.
Dia tulis ni, semua fakta ni. Ni semua bukti ni. Kita orang mana ada akses boleh pergi sampai level macam ni, kan?
Kenapa dia guna perkataan orang istimewa?
Ayah, kenapa ni?
Your ex-wife ada cakap public.
Kita kena jumpa dia dengan Fatimah. We have to get them fired.
Saya tak tahu apa yang kita buat ni betul ke tak.
Minggu akhir, Metro Crime Series, Khamis hingga Sabtu 9 malam. Di Lestari TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Wanita hari ini.
Dia buat kita, dia pula acah tersakiti.
Ini bahaya ni, mesti play victim.
Ini menu sepanjang zaman, cuba teka.
Haha, saya tahu. Menu-menu legend, bihun sup, mi kari, macam-macam lagi.
Bila emosi menguasai diri, banyak yang boleh terjadi.
Hati menguasai akal yang kita bincangkannya.
Kebelakangan ini, kerap kita dengar tentang mati mengejut.
Farin, apa yang perlu kita tahu?
Bila dah lama kahwin ni, rasa cinta makin pudar.
Kenalah renew rasa cinta tu.
Menarik di WSHI TV3.
Dan stream sekarang ditonton.
We're back with sports football, the 2024 Copa America. Colombia came from behind to grab a 1-1 draw with Brazil on Wednesday, ensuring their qualification to the quarterfinals as Group D winners. Rafinha put Brazil on the front foot in the 12th minute when he whipped a sublime free kick into the top corner. Colombia fought back, but Davinson Sanchez's goal was disallowed for offside before John Cordoba's brilliant through ball was rifled into the net by Daniel Munoz to level the scores for the Los Cafeteros in first half stoppage time. Despite both teams searching for a winner after the break, the 1-1 scoreline remained unchanged until the final whistle. With this result, Colombia is set to face Panama in their last 8 tie, while Brazil have to face 15-time champion Uruguay. On to tennis, the 2024 Wimbledon Championships. 7-time champion Novak Djokovic eased concerns over his knee injury after dismantling Czech qualifier Vit Kopriva in a straight-set victory on Tuesday. Playing his first match since the injury, world number 2 Novak Djokovic sailed through his first match without dropping a single break point, securing a decisive 6-1, 6-2, 6-2 victory in under 2 hours. With this victory, Djokovic will next face Britain's Jacob Fernley in the second round. Meanwhile, in the women's single action, French Open champion Iga Swiatek began her Wimbledon campaign with a solid 6-3, 6-4 win over American Sofia Kenin. This victory extends Swiatek's winning streak to 20 matches in a row, while setting up a showdown against Poland's Petra Martic in the next round.
Sex toys worth $500,000 ringgit seized. The details after this short break.
Musim rambutan kembali. Jom kita bawakan aneka resepi rambutan.
Bahaya makanan proses, nak mudah atau mudarat?
Kenali tape, khazanah alam yang kian pupus.
Kandungan lucah di media sosial, bagaimana sebenarnya ibu bapa ini nak mengawal kanak-kanak daripada terjebak?
Dan soal wang, kita bercerita mengenai simpanan tetap, adakah masih relevan?
Semua ini di Malaysia hari ini setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat, juga di aplikasi Tonton.
Hanya di TV3.
Raise awareness and break the stigma surrounding adoption and foster care.
Abandoned babies have got issues, and these issues must be known. When you adopt, you have to understand what comes with it.
You're fearfully and wonderfully made, all of us. And God never made a mistake. He made us with a purpose. Take time, take effort to discover who you are, find your real identity.
Catch Moon Talk this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3, live stream in HD on Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us. The Home Ministry seized 15,602 sex toys worth 540,000 ringgit, believed to have been imported from China and Japan, during a nationwide operation that took place from June 1st to 14th. The Ministry's Enforcement and Control Division also seized an assortment of lewd books and prints, clothing, accessories, as well as printing machines during those 2 weeks.
Its secretary, Nick Usaimi Yusof, at a press conference in Putrajaya on Wednesday, said checks were conducted on 1,759 premises in Selangor, Pulau Pinang, Johor and Kedah. The sex toys were among 19,924 illegal items and publications seized by the ministry through its Enforcement and Control Division, which launched Ops Cita 1.0 nationwide from June 1st to June 14th, 2024. The materials seized are estimated to be worth 1.2 million ringgit in total, and a total of 119 investigation papers were opened into the case. Authorities also arrested 47 local men, 3 women, as well as 1 foreigner. Checks revealed that one of the premises in Teluk Panglima Garang, Selangor, had been raided before, and the owner had been issued a 5,000 ringgit compound for selling sex toys. This time, he was found to have committed the same offence. The ministry also said that the printing machines that were seized were being operated without valid licenses. One of the machines was believed to have been used to print lewd images. The cases are being investigated under the Printing Presses and Publications Act.
In Perak, 4 men, including a State Immigration Department officer, were charged in the Taiping Sessions Court with smuggling 6 Vietnamese immigrants into the country in March this year. The officer, 42-year-old Abdul Hadi Maddin, along with 58-year-old Teo Bun Po, 47-year-old Chua Eng Kyong, and 48-year-old Thai national Sukri Awang, however, pleaded not guilty when the charge was read to them before Judicial Commissioner Nur Ruwina Mat Nurdin. According to the charge sheet, they were jointly accused of smuggling 6 female immigrants from Vietnam into the country. The offence was allegedly committed at the paid parking space of the Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security Complex in Bukit Berapit, Bengkalan Hulu at 11:26 a.m. on March 9th. They were charged under Section 26A of the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Smuggling of Migrants Atipsom Act 2007, which provides for a jail term of up to 20 years and a fine or both upon conviction. The court set July 31st for mention and document submission. As Nightline draws to a close this time around, let's take a look at the 2024 World AI Conference in Shanghai, China, set to kick off this Thursday, featuring over 4,000 entries across 9 major categories and more than 1,500 expected exhibits. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and have a good week ahead.